Leo, the magistrate, and Mila, the Iron Warden, lean forward over the scrub pine table looking at the crumpled, straightened out note that Wiglaf is showing them with the scratched handwriting, the instructions from Kova to Tamir, telling her that she will be rewarded if she betrays Longhaven and particularly Leo to him, and giving her instructions on how to do it. They lean over this as Wiglaf tries to convince the other two that he found this on the body of a dead Iron Priest up in the mountains, and that this person is a traitor. And as they lean over, reading this document, the door sweeps open, and who should walk in but the traitor herself, Tamir, tall and striking with long brown hair, wearing winter furs against the still cold air as the sun has set in the twilight outside. She steps inside and says, "What are you doing here? Why are you discussing anything with this murderer?" And the other three swivel to face her, and she can see the accusation in their eyes, and her eyes drift down to the paper on the table, and she says, "What have you got there? What is that? And how did you come upon it?" Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is Ironsworn, Antarctica. You may hear a little bit of a different tonal sound to the voice. I've switched from my actually better Blue Yeti microphone to my older Corsair microphone that I use on my headset, which is what I used to do all of my video playthroughs. The main reason is that as I've been listening to my earlier recordings, you can hear like the chair creaking and some of the other sounds around my house on the microphone, and maybe people have noticed it, maybe they haven't, but I feel like this one isolates my voice a little better. It doesn't sound quite as rich, but I hope that it will make a little bit more pleasant of a listening experience. And if all those extra sounds that you can hear on the recording have bothered people, I do apologize for that. Hopefully it hasn't made anybody stop watching. So we are in a scene in which Wiglaf is trying to convince Leo and Mila that Tamir is a traitor, and the instructions from Kova to Tamir are being held on this paper that he found on the body of the dead Iron Priest. So how are we going to work this? I think what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called a scene challenge. And the instructions of a scene challenge say that you can use this to model a chase, an archery contest, or a formal debate before a council of elders. Well, this isn't a whole council of elders, but it is the warden, who is like the police, and the mayor, essentially the magistrate. And Wiglaf is trying to convince Leo and Mila that Tamir is trying to undermine Leo and make Longhaven vulnerable to the attacks of Kova, that she's a traitor. And Tamir, on the other hand, is going to be arguing that this is a bunch of lies and that it isn't really true. So that's the setup. A couple of things before we get started that I have done. I've given Mila her own character sheet, because now that she's involved in this, we want to know something about her. Her goal is to protect a person, probably to protect the town of Longhaven, really. She's suspicious and confident. Her activity is inspecting. She goes around inspecting, make sure the doors are locked at night, things like that. And so that's what her job is. And then, of course, we have Tamir, who is cunning and religious. And so I feel like there are two possibilities with Tamir in terms of the way we could sort of specify her. And I'm going to roll it here, and then I'll pause as I make some changes. But to her character sheet, one is she could be a zealot, right? Zealots have marks of their faith on them, so somewhere she would be branded with the tattoo or the brand of Angus. She serves the faith. She wants to bring others into the fold and destroy those who oppose them. She tries to entice with trickery or false promises. She uses the power of the faith and would stand with other zealots to overcome non-believers. So it's possible she might have reinforcements in the town. The other possibility is she could be a thrall. A thrall is a living person controlled by the will of a powerful undead spirit, which might be whatever is controlling the husk, perhaps. Right? The husk has withered black eyes and is what remains of an Irelander whose body, mind, and soul have been hollowed out by dark magic. So she could be in the thrall, but I feel like my original description of her isn't quite like that. She doesn't have a sickly countenance and so on, although she doesn't have a sickly pallor as a zealot either, but we can kind of let that go. I'm going to say that we're going to ask the Oracle. I'm going to say that it is likely that she's a zealot. So let's roll this. And we get an 88. So yes, she is a zealot. So I'm going to pause as I put the zealot stats onto her same character sheet so that we know what she can do. And then I will bring you guys back when we're ready to start the scene challenge. All right, so we're back. I have copied the main features of zealots into our character and into the NPC sheet, and now we're ready to do the scene challenge. So the way this works is first you define the scene as troublesome, dangerous, formidable, and so on. He says a typical challenge is dangerous, and I've set this as dangerous. Now she's a troublesome foe. If she gets into a fight, she doesn't have a lot of weapons, right? She uses the powers of the faith. If she teams up with others, then together they would rank dangerous. But I don't think she's got, maybe she got a dagger, right? But I don't think she's like a warrior, right? She is more of a manipulator. Somebody works behind the scenes. She's probably a shop owner or something. We really don't know yet what her business is. She's some sort of a trader. So this is dangerous. This means we get two full boxes per tick. I've got some pre-made tick marks on the side because I've made basically a scene challenge template that we can use anytime we do a scene challenge. I like this idea of doing scene challenges, so it's pretty cool. So there's a progress track and a countdown track. Every time we get a hit, we mark progress. And so if every time we get a miss, we mark the countdown track. So so you only do 2 moves. You face danger or secure advantage. If you face danger, you do it the normal way, but on a strong hit, you mark progress. On a weak hit, you mark progress, but you also encounter a complication or a delay or a setback in the, a counter argument. Somebody doesn't believe you, whatever. On a miss, you fail and you mark the countdown box and pay the price. Securing advantage, we don't actually get to mark progress. Instead, we make another move, the face danger move, at +1, and we can take +2 momentum. And a weak hit, we can only do one of those 2. Now this is using the secure advantage from Starforged, not the regular secure advantage from Ironsworn, and I've explained that in an earlier video that we use that secure advantage because I like that one better. So we continue making moves until either the countdown box is full or we're ready to resolve the case and we make the progress move. On a strong hit, we achieve our goal. On a weak hit, we succeed with a cost, a minor cost relative to the scope of the scene. On a miss, we fail, right? So, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious here. If we get a strong hit on the progress move, she's going to probably be arrested, or at least they'll attempt to do so. On a weak hit, she might get into trouble, but maybe she's going to try to run away and start a battle, or something like that. And on a miss, she's gonna manage to blame Wiglaf for everything and claim he forged it or something like that, and we pay the price. So we're ready to go, and we're going to start the scene. There's no real initiative to this. We're either facing danger or we're securing advantage, and I think the first thing Wiglaf's going to do is secure an advantage. So I've got red and blue here. What types of moves? Sort of the catch-all is facing danger. Okay, but if you're going to assess, prepare, or gain leverage, you secure advantage. And I think the first thing he's going to do is he's going to stand up and he's going to say, "You may as well come in, Tamir. We now know the truth of what you're doing." And he holds up the document. And Leo and the warden Mila stand up, and Mila says, "What do you have to say for yourself, Tamir? Wiglaf's presenting evidence that you are taking instruction from Kova." So Tamir walks in and she shuts the door and she kind of sneers at Wiglaf and she says, "Oh, you're going to believe this murderer?" And Leo says, "Well, I think we need to resolve this." And Wiglaf says, "Well, I want to explain my position here." And Leo says, well, yes, you're the one who's accusing, so go ahead and make your accusation, and then, Tamir, you will have a chance to defend yourself. And so Wiglaf says, all right, I'm going to tell my story. Um, so I guess this is facing danger. He's going to tell his story. So he says, I was up in, first of all, I was in Duskmoor, and I rescued some people from Duskmoor. And I, in the process of doing that, I discovered that there is a death cult in Duskmoor, and they use a mark like this. And he points to the paper, and on the paper is a picture of the skull with the worms coming out of it, the picture of Angus. And he doesn't name Angus or anything, because he was told not to talk about that by the caravan, the woman in the caravan. So he says, I saw that mark. I rescued people from both Highmount and from here. I brought the people from here back to Red Hall, where the father was waiting for them. And then I went to Highmount to check on the people that I had rescued and make sure they got back. And on my way, as you know, on the trail between Red Hall and Highmount, there's an iron pillar. And when I got there, this mark, and he points to it, was made on the pillar, and I found the body of a dead iron priest. And on the body of the priest, and he waves the note, was this note. The priest had a note on him saying that you are a traitor. Okay, so this is a face danger move. And if we look at the moves... So, are we using speed, charm? I think we're using expertise, insight, or observation. We're going to roll plus wits. Now, I do want to point out we have 9 momentum. We lost 1 momentum in the last session, and I did forget to subtract it, but I've done it now. And I'm not going to really go over the last session because not that much happened. We just found this note and came in to do the accusation. So now we're going to face danger, and we're rolling plus wits, which isn't our best stat, but oh well. And we get a 6 on our action die. Plus 2 is 8 against double 7s. So not only do we succeed and we mark progress, but we get a match. We get a fortuitous event. So first let me mark the progress in the scene challenge. So I'm going to just grab this, copy it, and paste it twice here and here. So we have now made 2 progress, but we also get a fortuitous turn of events. Let's roll on action and theme. I have a hint of what it might be, but let's roll on action and theme, see if it gives me anything, and if not, I will I'll make something up. So let's see. We get 18 deflect and 94 path. Deflect path. Okay, so I think what this means is Tamir came into here expecting to be able to just deflect what they're, just sort of deflect the accusations, but she's shocked that he knows what this symbol means. And she's thrown off by this, and she says, well, what do I have to do with the mark of Angus? And everybody looks at her, and Leo says, the mark of what? And Mila kind of looks from Wiglaf to Tamir, and Wiglaf points to the symbol, and he says, this is the mark of Angus. It's the death cult. But nobody outside of Duskmoor knows about that. I only found out about it because I asked someone who had fled Duskmoor. There was a caravan on the road to Highmount, and I asked them what the symbol meant, and the person leading the caravan whispered the name to me and said not to speak of it because it's an evil name. So how would you know the name of Angus unless you knew something about this? So I think this is him gaining leverage on her, right? So he's now going to make another move, and he's going to try to gain leverage. So this is securing an advantage. And if we look at that move, I think, again, he's using expertise or insight. So unfortunately, we're rolling at +2. And we get a 2 plus 2 is 4 against double 9, so now it's a disaster. So now a really bad negative consequence has occurred. We only have 9 momentum, so we can't zero those out. So that's really bad. So first of all, we're going to go into our scene challenge, and we're going to mark the countdown track. And then we have to pay the price. So we encounter a dramatic turn of events. So one of the things I have is I've got the this is a table from Scarlet Heroes. We have an unfriendly NPC. -2 for risks to the NPC's standing. So we're going to roll 2d6 and let's see what her reaction is. 3. -2 is 1. Anger or violence or direct harm. Yeah, I'm not sure she's going to do violence or direct harm right here. That doesn't make any sense. So I think it's going to be more kind of scornful. I like the idea of anger or scorn. Oh, she says, and how do you know this name if supposedly only people in Duskmoor know it? You claim you met someone on the road, a caravan. When did you meet this person? There was just a blizzard in the mountains. Are you telling me a caravan went from Duskmoor to Highmount in a blizzard? That's completely unbelievable. And how is it that you come to know what this symbol is? How do you recognize it? You claim you were in some temple. We know that Ironlanders don't build temples. You're obviously lying, she says scornfully. So let's pay the price. So let's see. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to read through this. I'm going to pick 1 or 2, and then we'll go from there. Oh, I have an awesome idea. All right. So, remember Merrick? I think Merrick's also a traitor. And Merrick followed Wiglaf. And so he arrives and knocks on the door. And the door opens, and Merrick walks in. And he says, I'm here because I've been following this criminal. And he points to Wiglaf. And he says, I saw him go and deface an iron pillar, and now he's come here. And I saw him take something off the body of an iron priest. And Wiglaf says, you're a liar. I didn't desecrate anything. I did take something off the body because it's evidence, it's proof, it's right here. I'm showing them. I told them I took it off the body of an iron priest. So now there are 2 opponents. And as the scene progresses, both of them can accuse, right? Merrick wants to get rid of Wiglaf because he's jealous. And I think the reason Merrick maybe wasn't a coward, but that the reason he didn't stop Kova is because he's also a traitor. That Kova bought off one of the Iron Wardens. Is that what's happening? Let's ask the Oracle. I think that's likely. And we get a 14. So no, he's not a traitor. He's just jealous. Okay, so he's here to argue against Wiglaf. Okay, so they tell him what's happening, right? He's an Iron Warden. He asks what's happening, and he stands on Tamir's side, and he says, I wouldn't trust Wiglaf at all. So now we have 2 people arguing against Wiglaf. So Wiglaf is now going to try to attempt something risky. He's got to come up with something, right? So we're going to face danger. So Wiglaf decides it's time to rely on his loyalty to the people of Longhaven, even though they have accused him of murder. He's going to describe his courageous acts. And he then launches into a speech where he talks about how Sabine came to him after having been attacked by Kova, and he went all by himself to Duskmoor with his faithful dog, and Griff kind of barks. And he says, I went all the way in there, and in Duskmoor I saw a temple to this god, and he points to the symbol, and he says, and I think that Tamir here is working for this cult, and why would I come in here and make this accusation after risking my life to save Sabine? And you know I did it. After risking my life to save the people in High Mount. And he points to Merrick and he says, and you know I did it after you were too cowardly to protect them in the first place. So I did all of these things. I'm the one who swore an iron vow to save these people and did. And now I'm here saying that there is this other threat, that Kova is doing more than just attacking people. He is working for this death cult, and he points to Tamir and says, and Tamir is working for him. So he is rolling plus heart. This is the best he can do. So we've got a hope. We're facing danger. And we get a 2 plus 4 is 6 against a 1 and a 10. So it's a weak hit. So we mark progress, but we get a complication. So I have to think about what that may be. So I'm going to pause here while I think about it, and then I'll bring you guys back. All right, so I figured it out. So Mila turns to Wiglaf and she says, you've made a great argument and you have been very brave. But is this story true, Wiglaf? Is it true that you found a dead Iron Priest and you walked on to High Mount and you didn't tell anybody about this priest, and then you walked back and took something off the body? Why didn't you report it? You apparently encountered Merrick a day or two later. Why didn't you tell him that the Iron Priest was dead? That suggests that something else is going on here. And Tamir says, yes, yes. If he was so honest, why didn't he come and report this right away? Why did he wait? So Tamir latches onto this this opportunity. So Wiglaf thinks about this. He's got to assess it. So Wiglaf's going to try to secure an advantage here, because you're not supposed to make the same move twice in a row. So let's see if we can follow that rule. Forceful defense, right? Could be iron. He's not going to be deceptive. I think he's going to go forceful defense. He's going to defend himself. He is going to say, listen, I was already accused, incorrectly I might add, of murder. Of murdering my own friend Hanshu. I was out in the mountains. I knew this death cult was there, and I was trying to find out more about it and check on the prisoners that I had helped escape. And as I was walking through the mountains, I came onto this iron pillar with a mark of this god in blood and the body of a dead iron priest who are supposed to be the tenders of these pillars. The first thing I thought was, I'm going to be accused of this murder because I've already been unjustly accused at least once. And so, yeah, I didn't report it because I was afraid if I reported it, exactly what's happening here, and he points to Merrick, would happen. False accusations, which is what you people have been doing to me all along. So let's see if that sways anybody, if he convinces them that it was reasonable not. And plus, he was dead, he says. There's nothing we could have done about it. There was nobody in the area, right? So you're right. I should have reported it, but I was afraid I was going to get arrested for murder and be accused again unjustly. So let's see how this works. I think this is iron. This is forceful defense. It's not physical defense, but I think iron still works for defending yourself with it's courage, but I think forceful defense, right? He's delivered a ringing defense of his own actions. So I think we're going to roll plus iron. It's plus 3. And we get a 3 plus 3 is 6 against a 3 and a 1. So it is a strong hit. So that means we add momentum, and we can make our next move at plus 1. So first we're going to bring our momentum up to 10, which is really good. We don't make any progress on securing advantage, but we can make our next move at plus 1. So Wiglaf's forceful defense convinces Mila. She says, all right, that's true. You have been accused before. And she glances at Leo and she says, I've always been a little concerned about the lack of evidence against you for that first murder, which is why you're not in prison in the first place. She says, okay, that's understandable, but Wiglaf, you really should have reported it. And he says, yes, I should have, and I own that. But you can see why I didn't. And the fact that I didn't report it is certainly not evidence of me being guilty. And because it's a strong hit, they agree. So now he gets to make another move. He says, I think we should consider what has happened here. Look at the note. And he reads out some of the lines of the note. And he says, this note here has instructions about distracting the wardens and making sure that they're not around when this person tries to go after Leo. It also talks about the outlying farms being hit. And he says that's what happened. Sabine and his family were hit. So I think that Tamir helped redirect the Iron Wardens away so that you guys weren't in place to protect Sabine's family when they were attacked a few days ago. But the question is whether that's true or not. He's guessing, right? So he's guessing, so he's using, I guess, insight here. He's taking a chance. He's making a little bit of a gamble. So it's not trickery. He's taking a guess. I think this is going to be insight, right? He knows what he sees the instructions, and he's now taking a guess as to how Sabine's family got caught. So let's see how he does. We get a 4 plus 2 is 6 against an 8 and a 9, which would be a miss, but I'm going to spend the momentum. It's actually a 7 because we get plus 1 on this. Doesn't help. Against an 8 or 9, I'm going to spend the momentum. I'm going to zero those out, and we're going to get a strong hit. That's what the momentum is there for, unfortunately. We're pretty much done with the momentum, but that gives us 2 boxes. And so he's guessed right. And Mila says, you know what? You're right. Tamir told me that she heard something on the other side of town, and I was over there checking it out. Supposedly there were wolves over there. We never did find any wolves. And she looks at Tamir. And Tamir sort of is angry, and let's see how she's going to react. We get a 6 minus 2 is 4. She reacts with scorn. She says, I heard wolves. And there are shepherds on that side of town. You wouldn't want the wolves to get into the sheep, would you? Of course not. So, there weren't any wolves when you got there. Maybe you should have gone faster. So, Wiglaf says, So let me think about this. He's going to have to secure advantage next. So let me think about this, and I'll bring you back when I figure out what he's going to say next. All right, so I've come up with something. She's got a brand somewhere on her body. I'm going to say on the arm, right? Kind of like the mark of Voldemort, right? Of the Death Eaters. Somewhere on her wrist, she's got the brand of Angus. And I'm going to say that the note says in it that you will know each other by your mark, by your brand. And Wiglaf is going to guess where the brand is. So what he's going to do on face danger is demand that she show the part of her body where this brand is. But he's got to figure out where the brand, he's got to kind of make a guess, right? So what he's going to do is observation, right? Like, for example, maybe when they mentioned Angus, she touched her arm or something like that. So let's roll wits and see if he can figure out where this brand is. And if he does, then we can add momentum or we can take a +1. So let's see what happens. We get a 1 on the die against a 6 and a 5. So he's not able to figure out. He's not able to figure it out. So he kind of stands there uncertain what to say next. And this gives Tamir a chance to roll into a speech where she reminds everybody of Wiglaf's past crime and how he murdered his own friend out in the woods. And now this Iron Priest was murdered out in the wilderness. And isn't it more likely that Wiglaf killed this priest and is making up this story against me? Right? And I don't know if we need to pay another price Yes, his action had an unintended effect, so that's perfect. So instead, he is not able to figure out where the brand is. So now he's got to make his final case. Let's hope. We only have two countdown boxes left. So my feeling is if we miss on this one, we're going to have to just try to make the progress move. And the way these dice are rolling, I don't know if we're going to win this argument. Wiglaf might end up having to run for his life. Um, ooh, but we have a companion. So I think Wiglaf is going to say, well, these folks, um, if. So I'm trying to think, what could Griff do? Because it might be that Griff could help him here. Um, Let me think about how he's going to decide what to do next, and I'll bring you back once I've figured it out. So Wiglaf says, and this is painful because we're going to unfortunately be, I think, facing danger with wits again. Wiglaf says, well, if you truly are innocent, Tamir, then perhaps you wouldn't mind letting the warden here search your home. You can even bring Mirik as an impartial observer and make sure that there aren't any, let's say, altars to this god or symbols of this god anywhere on your home or perhaps even anywhere on your person. You should be willing to subject yourself to a search. What do you say to that? And we're rolling plus wits, and we don't have any momentum, so we got to take whatever we get. We get a 6 plus 2 is 8 against a 6 and a 2, which is a strong hit. So I think when he says, or on your person, her left hand goes to her right wrist, just unconsciously. And then she quickly takes it away. And this gives Wiglaf the momentum that he, or the, sort of what he needs to finish this. And he says, he points to her and he says, I think that she has the mark of this god on her wrist, and you will find it if you roll up that right sleeve. And this will settle it once and for all. And this is going to be the progress move. We have 8 of the 10 boxes. You don't have to get 10. And I think it's going to be too risky to try and get 10. And I'm running out of ideas on what else to do with this argument because we've kind of got as far as we can get. So Wiglaf says, roll up her sleeve and let's have this out once and for all. And Mila walks forward and she says, I'm sorry, Tamir, but I'm going to have to look. And Tamir going to back away? Let's see what happens. So anything below 8 is good. And we roll a 2 and a 6. It's a strong hit. So she grabs Tamir's wrist, draws the sleeve up, and right there on the inside of her forearm, sort of between the elbow and the wrist, is the brand of Angus. And she is revealed as a member of the Death Cult. And so I think that gives us some progress toward both of our quests, right? Because we now know that she's working for Kova, and we know that she's a death cultist. And so I think those are milestones on those 2 quests. We're getting some more information. We've got a lot of progress left to go, but we've got some progress. I don't think we get any momentum from this. Nope, we just mark the progress. And so that resolves our seam challenge. It's actually quite perfect. We took it just about a half an hour. So I think this is a good place to stop. We stop just as the sleeve is pulled up and you see the brand and Griff starts to growl and Leo exclaims, it's true. And Mirik is shocked and Mila is standing there holding the arm with the sleeve up. And what's Tamir going to do? Is Tamir going to give up? Well, Tamir's a zealot. So I think Tamir is going to destroy those who oppose her, perhaps. Are there others in the faith that she could call on? We asked the Oracle, and Mirik isn't one of them. So he's a coward, but he's trying to redeem himself. I think he would possibly side with Mila. But We will find that out in the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that scene challenge. I really did. I've never done one before in Ironsworn, and so it was a little hard to kind of figure out exactly how to make it work. But I think it went okay, and we got a pretty cool scene with like a debate, and so I think that went pretty well. We did about as well as we could. We got a strong hit at the end, and everything worked out for Wiglaf. So that's pretty cool. And until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been Ironsworn, Antarctica.